Hello and welcome. Today we are going to discuss a symptom that affects nearly 1 in 5 older Americans. It's something many of us notice as we get older: persistent swelling in the feet and ankles. You might see your socks leaving a deep line at the end of the day, or perhaps your favorite shoes feel unusually tight. And it's easy to dismiss this, to think it's just part of getting older, or I was on my feet too much today. I understand that. It can feel frustrating and maybe even a little worrying, but it's often pushed aside as just another nuisance. But according to one of the nation's most experienced cardiologists, this seemingly harmless swelling can be your body's earliest and most important warning signal of a serious underlying condition related to your heart. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why this happens, what your body is trying to tell you, and most importantly, you will learn the evidence-based strategies that can help you take control. The information we'll cover today is something this expert believes every person over 60 needs to know. The most common misconception a leading cardiologist hears from new patients is that swelling in both ankles is always a simple issue of gravity or aging. And while it's true that standing for a long time can cause temporary puffiness, what we are concerned with is persistent edema, swelling that is there day after day, or even present when you wake up in the morning. Now, I know it can be unsettling to hear that a piece of common wisdom might not be the full story. It's perfectly okay to feel a bit of concern. But what I want you to remember is that this knowledge is the first step toward empowerment. The greatest danger of this symptom is not the swelling itself, but the false sense of security it can provide. Because it is often painless, it's easy to ignore. Let me share an anonymous story that illustrates this perfectly. A lesson from a cardiologist's clinical experience. A 68-year-old man, we'll call him Robert, came to his office. For months, Robert had noticed his ankles were swollen. He was a retired teacher, a bit overweight, and he told the doctor, "I just figured this is what happens when you get older." He ignored it because it didn't hurt. He also noticed he was getting more tired than usual and a bit winded carrying groceries from the car, but he chalked that up to age as well. It wasn't until he woke up one night, feeling short of breath, that he finally made an appointment. His doctor immediately recognized the combination of signs: the persistent, painless swelling in both ankles, the fatigue, and the shortness of breath on exertion. These were the classic quiet signs of congestive heart failure. Robert's story is incredibly common. The cardiologist noted that another patient, a 72-year-old woman, had been attributing her swollen legs to a side effect of her blood pressure medication for over a year. While it's true that certain medications, including some for high blood pressure, can cause swelling, in her case, this assumption was masking the progression of a serious heart condition. Both of these individuals had dismissed the key clue their bodies were giving them. They were looking at the symptom in isolation, not as part of a larger system. This is the critical shift in thinking we are going to make today. So what is the first step we can take to address this? Before we even discuss diet or medication, top cardiologists and physical therapists emphasize reactivating what they call the body's second heart. Your second heart isn't an organ, it's a system. It's the powerful muscles in your calves. Every time you take a step, these muscles squeeze the veins in your lower legs, powerfully pumping blood upward against gravity and back to your heart. This is called the calf muscle pump. When we sit for long periods, as many of us do, this pump is inactive. Blood flow slows, pressure builds in the leg veins, and fluid can begin to pool in the lower legs, eventually leaking into the tissues as edema. Let's go through a simple, safe, and incredibly effective exercise you can do right now while you're sitting. It's called the ankle pump. First, the basic steps. While seated in a chair, With your feet flat on the floor, simply point your toes and the front of your foot up toward the ceiling as far as is comfortable, keeping your heel on the ground. You should feel a gentle stretch in your calf. Hold for a moment. Then, slowly point your toes down toward the floor, lifting your heel off the ground. That's one repetition. The goal is to perform this slow, pumping motion for about 2 to 3 minutes, several times throughout the day. Now for a variation. If you have limited mobility or this feels difficult at first, you can simply do one foot at a time. The key is gentle, consistent movement. You can also perform this exercise while lying down, perhaps with your feet slightly elevated on a pillow, which can be even more effective at helping fluid return to the heart. Finally, let's address a common mistake. The most frequent error is performing the movement too quickly or only moving the toes. The goal is to create a slow, deliberate movement of the entire foot at the ankle joint. Imagine you are slowly pressing and releasing a large, heavy gas pedal in a truck. A slow, controlled motion is far more effective at squeezing those deep veins and activating the pump than a quick, jerky one. I know this might seem almost too simple to be effective, but a lesson from a physical therapist with over 30 years of experience is that the most profound changes often come from small, consistent actions. Committing to just a few minutes of these ankle pumps every hour you are seated can make a significant difference in your circulation and begin to reduce the pressure in your lower legs. Now that we've addressed the mechanical part of the system with our second heart, let's turn to the chemical side of the equation. The second cornerstone strategy, emphasized by every major cardiology association, is the careful management of sodium. The principle is simple, and it's a fundamental rule of biology. Where sodium goes, water follows. When you consume excess salt, your body retains extra fluid to maintain a stable balance. This extra fluid increases the total volume of blood circulating in your system. This, in turn, can raise your blood pressure and, most importantly, force your already straining heart to work much harder to pump that extra volume. First, the guidelines. For people with moderate to severe heart failure, the Heart Failure Society of America and other leading bodies often recommend a target of under 2,000 milligrams of sodium per day. To put that in perspective, a single teaspoon of table salt contains about 2,300 milligrams. The average American consumes over 3,400 milligrams daily, so for many, this represents a significant change. Second, and this is the most important part, it's not about the salt shaker. According to cardiologists, over 70% of the sodium in the American diet comes from processed and restaurant foods. These are the hidden sources. The American Heart Association has even identified the top sources, calling them the Salty Six. And they might surprise you. They are breads and rolls, pizza, sandwiches, cold cuts and cured meats, canned soup, and burritos and tacos. Many of these are foods we don't even think of as particularly salty, yet they are the primary contributors. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by these numbers, and no one is expecting perfection overnight. This isn't about judgment, it's about awareness. The most common point where people struggle is trying to change everything at once. An expert cardiologist's advice is to start by making one small, manageable change. Don't try to overhaul your entire diet tomorrow. Instead, this week, just focus on one thing. For example, if you buy canned beans, choose the no salt added version or simply rinse the regular ones in a colander before using them. This can wash away a significant amount of sodium. If you love soup, look for a brand that is explicitly labeled low sodium. These small, deliberate steps add up to a significant reduction in your heart's daily workload. Let's pause for a moment and connect these ideas. We started with the problem of persistent ankle swelling, a sign that the circulatory system is under strain. We've now introduced two powerful, evidence-based strategies to address this. It's important to see how these are not separate ideas, but a single, integrated system. Think of it this way. Strategy 2, reducing sodium, decreases the total amount of fluid in your pipes. It lightens the overall load that your heart has to pump. Strategy 1, activating your calf muscles, improves the efficiency of the pump, helping to move that fluid more effectively against the pull of gravity. One reduces the load, the other strengthens the engine. They work together synergistically to lower the pressure inside your veins, which is the direct cause of fluid leaking out into your tissues and causing swelling. You've been with me for nearly 20 minutes, and I want to acknowledge that. Your attention and your willingness to learn are your greatest assets. You've already learned more about this topic than most people will in their lifetime, and you are already better equipped to take control of your health. But understanding what to do is only half the battle. To truly master this and to make these changes stick for a lifetime, we need to understand why it works on a deeper level. The most experienced cardiologists know that when a patient understands the why, their commitment becomes unshakable. In the next section, we are going to pull back the curtain and look at the hidden mechanism inside your body, the complex and critical conversation between your heart and your kidneys that actually causes this fluid buildup in the first place. Understanding this is the key to turning these strategies from simple tips into a lifelong system for health. So why does a struggling heart lead to swollen ankles? The answer lies in a profound and sometimes counterproductive survival mechanism involving your heart and your kidneys. It's a story of miscommunication that leads to a vicious cycle. Here is how a top cardiologist explains it to his patients. First, imagine your heart as the central pump for your body's irrigation system. When it weakens due to long-term conditions like high blood pressure or damage from a past heart attack, it simply can't pump blood as forcefully as it used to. Now, think of your kidneys as brilliant but very specialized sensors downstream. Their job is to monitor the flow. When they sense a drop in blood flow, they are programmed to make a critical assumption. They assume the body is in a state of emergency, like dehydration or major blood loss. They don't have the full picture. They don't know the pump is weak. They only know they aren't getting the pressure and flow they expect. In response, the kidneys trigger a powerful alarm system. It's a cascade of hormones known as the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system, or RAAS. This system's primary job is to save your life during dehydration by telling your body to do two things with extreme prejudice. Hold on to every last bit of sodium and hold on to every last drop of water. And here is where the vicious cycle begins. The kidneys, trying to help by adding more fluid volume to the system, are actually increasing the amount of blood the already struggling heart has to pump. This extra workload weakens the heart even further. A weaker heart pumps even less effectively, which in turn reduces blood flow to the kidneys even more. This causes the kidneys to sound the alarm louder and retain even more fluid. It's a feedback loop where the body's attempt to compensate for the problem actually makes the problem worse, leading to the systemic fluid overload we see as persistent edema. When you begin to implement the strategies of gentle movement and sodium reduction, you are manually interrupting this faulty feedback loop. You won't see a dramatic change overnight, but here are the first small signs of success an expert would tell you to look for. You might notice your socks leave a slightly less deep impression at the end of the day. You may feel a subtle decrease in that feeling of heaviness in your legs. You might even notice a very slight 1 or 2 pound drop on the scale over a week or two, which is your body beginning to let go of that excess retained fluid. These are the first whispers of your body finding its way back to balance. Acknowledge them and celebrate them as the victories they are. We've covered a lot of ground. We've talked about the second heart in your calves, the critical role of sodium, and the deep biological feedback loop between your heart and kidneys. Now, I want to tie it all together with the single unifying principle that top cardiologists share with their patients to ensure their long-term success and well-being. The principle is this: reduce the workload. Think about it through this lens. The ankle pump exercises, they help your heart by using your powerful leg muscles to do some of the heavy lifting of returning blood from your feet, reducing the workload. The low-sodium diet, it prevents your body from retaining excess fluid, which lowers your total blood volume and dramatically reduces the workload. Every meal, every movement becomes a choice. Does this add to my heart's burden, or does it lighten the load? When you see every choice through this simple filter, it all becomes clear. It's no longer about memorizing a long list of complicated rules. It's about following a single, powerful philosophy of care. Adopting this mindset is what transforms people. It shifts the focus from fighting a disease to supporting your body. It is a profound change from a position of fear to a position of power. This is the path to not just managing a condition, but to feeling stronger, lighter, and more energetic than you may have in years. Week 1. Awareness and activation. For the next 7 days, your only job is to do 2 things. First, simply observe. Notice your ankles at the end of the day. Don't judge, just be aware. Second, begin your second heart activation. Set a reminder if you need to, and perform 20 to 30 slow ankle pumps every hour that you are seated. That's it. Just build the habit. Week 2. The first swap. Continue your exercises. This week, add 1 dietary action. Identify 1 high-sodium food you eat regularly: canned soup, deli meat, a frozen meal, and find a low-sodium alternative. Go to the store and read 1 label. Find a swap that works for you. That is a huge win. Week 3. Consistency and consultation. Continue your exercises and your low-sodium swaps. Now is the time to schedule an appointment with your doctor or cardiologist. Go into that appointment armed with this knowledge. You can say, "I've noticed persistent swelling in my ankles, and I've learned it can be related to heart health. I'd like to talk about that. What is a safe sodium target for me?" Please, hear this. This journey is not about perfection. It is about gentle, consistent effort. There will be days you forget your exercises or eat a salty meal at a restaurant with friends. That is okay. You are human. The goal is not a perfect record. It's a new direction. You are not alone in this. Millions of people are on this same path. Be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself. You now have the knowledge. You have the power to make a profound difference in your own health. Thank you for investing this time in your health. It has been a privilege to share this vital information with you. Now I'd like to ask something of you. Many of us have dismissed a symptom at some point in our lives. In the comments below, without sharing any personal medical details, I invite you to share a moment when you learn to listen to your body's signals more closely. Your story could be the encouragement someone else needs to take that first important step. Let's build a community of support and shared wisdom right here. Remember, knowledge is your most powerful tool. Use it wisely. Be well, and take care of that magnificent heart. If you found this information valuable, please like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe for more evidence-based guidance to help you live a healthier, more empowered life.